2016 year, when I would debate with people, I was just repeating the same talking points that I was hearing all the time. And anything that was provided for me or to me, I didn't believe it because I was told not to believe it. That's how indoctrination works. They tell you not to criticize your own beliefs, and then because you don't criticize it, because you don't question it, you just go along with it. That's indoctrination. That's brainwashing. I also felt like whatever was happening up to that point wasn't working. I felt that way because my parents worked so much that I felt like I missed out on them my whole life. And if the world wasn't set up the way it was, if the system wasn't set up the way it was, maybe they wouldn't have had to work so much, and maybe I wouldn't have had to miss out on so much with them. So my anger was correct, but it was at the wrong people, and it was manipulated. Trump was running. He was not a politician. He was different. I was hearing those talking points of he's a businessman. And when I was provided proof that he was not a good businessman, indoctrination, don't look into other sources, don't believe them.
Final report. There is an ex-MAGA here. She's a white lady, okay? An ex-white MAGA supporter, Trump supporter. And she's telling us why she left MAGA. And she's exposing how she was told, she was lied, she was fed with information that made him hate the Democrats, okay? Or made him judge black people. Listen to her.
Story time. So a lot of people have asked me, what did it take for me to break from MAGA and how did I get there? If you go to my profile, you can see my turning point, but in order for that to have worked on me, I had to be humbled in my own personal life. So here's how the timeline goes. I don't remember a whole lot of politics being talked in my house. Certain ideas were just implied, for the most part. There were occasional times where I'd hear something like, the illegals are taking the jobs, and that sort of stuff being pushed into my mind. Anyway, back to the story. I was in middle school when Obama became president, and then in high school when he became president again. Personally, I had no problem with black people or a black president. What I had an issue with and was taught to think is that the Democrats were the enemy. Not necessarily in those words, but the idea was implied. And we didn't want a Democrat president, and I also heard that he was only president because he was black, not because he was qualified. 2015 rolls around and I finished with high school and I entered into the adult world. Had a miscarriage. Being raised in a Christian household, I had always been told that abortion was wrong. I was 17 and then 18 and indoctrinated. Fast forward into 2016 and I start to become more involved politically. The only difference was that at the time I trusted the people around me, like I've said in other videos. So I only looked into the sources that they provided, and everything else, I just had this idea pushed into my head that it was all fake news. So in that 2016 year, when I would debate with people, I was just repeating the same talking points that I was hearing all the time. And anything that was provided for me or to me, I didn't believe it because I was told not to believe it. That's how indoctrination works. They tell you not to criticize your own beliefs, and then because you don't criticize it, because you don't question it, you just go along with it. That's indoctrination. That's brainwashing. I also felt like whatever was happening up to that point wasn't working. I felt that way because my parents worked so much that I felt like I missed out on them my whole life. And if the world wasn't set up the way it was, if the system wasn't set up the way it was, maybe they wouldn't have had to work so much, and maybe I wouldn't have had to miss out on so much with them. So my anger was correct, but it was at the wrong people, and it was manipulated. Trump was running. He was not a politician. He was different. I was hearing those talking points of he's a businessman. And when I was provided proof that he was not a good businessman, indoctrination, don't look into other sources, don't believe them. I voted for him in the 2016 election, and he won. Suddenly, I didn't care about politics like I did before. I did not even bother to continue paying attention. He won and I moved on. As I was moving on, I experienced really bad, really traumatic things that really humbled me. The first one being a domestic violence relationship at 19. Not going to get into details on that, but it was something that I never thought I would be in, and that I was. I experienced a few other very traumatic things, and they were also humbling in their own ways. My late boyfriend passed away. I went through a short period of homelessness and feeling like I had nobody to turn to. And the partner that I had was so disconnected. 2020 rolls around and George Floyd dies. The video shook me. So I started looking at Black Lives Matter as not a racist, anti-white organization, but maybe there was something else that I was missing. Maybe there was a perspective I didn't know, because how could I know it? I'm not Black. And I started listening to stories from people that I knew, people that I went to school with. And then my turning point happened. And I still wanted to believe that Trump was for the people. I didn't want to believe that he was racist. And I didn't want to believe that he was anti-American yet. The turning point came. The peaceful protesters were tear gassed. And I tried to gaslight myself. He's going to say something. I kept telling myself he's going to say something. I mean, it wasn't like he was the one that went up to the security people or police or whatever and said, go tear gas them so I can do a photo shoot. That's how I was justifying it to myself. So I thought he'd make a statement, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. He never made a statement. It never came. He never said it was wrong. He never said it shouldn't have happened. He never said anything. And then, from gaining awareness in my personal life and also stepping away from politics and not being brainwashed by Fox constantly over all that time, I was able to finally read between the lines and see, oh, he's not a politician, but he's still not one of us. He's privileged in a way that not even all white people understand. He's never had to question whether or not he was going to be able to pay a bill or feed himself or his family. He's never had to question whether or not he was going to be able to keep the lights on or pay his car insurance or his car note. He's not like us. Thanks for listening.
Now, you have heard her. And on what she has said, one thing I have mastered on her talk is that she was full MAGA. It's not because she chose, but because of the people she was around it, the people, or the things she was being told, the message she was being told. Even for him, hating on a black president, on a black people or Democrats, was not because she made a wise choice by herself. She was forced to make a choice because of the surrounding. And that tells us one thing. A lot of white people are racist, not because they want to be racist, not because they were born racist, but because they were taught to be racist, because they were directed, they were told lies. Okay? And that's why when she came across the police brutality during the time of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement, that's where her turning point came. Because she believed so much in Republican. She believed so much in Trump. She knew Trump wasn't racist. She knew Trump was a good president until one word that Trump said during that time. You know? And this is just to tell everyone. Now, final report shows us that a lot of white Americans or a lot of MAGA supporters, they are not supporting the idea of MAGA. They're not supporting the agendas of MAGA. They are supporting the idea of MAGA of taking over. They are supporting the idea of MAGA of being the top, being better than them. We are better than them. We are white America. This is our country. We need a white president. We need a president who will take America where it was, where black people were sticking on their lanes. They are not supporting because he has better agendas to everyone. It's because the agendas of MAGA is for themselves. Okay? It's for themselves, not for other people. This young lady opening up here is something that we need to hear. A lot of white people are opening too. Why do you left MAGA? And why? How is MAGA? Okay? How is Donald Trump? So, George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter issues was worldwide. And you could see George Floyd, he was saying, I can't breathe. It became a movement. But the police did not listen because he was white and then he was black. So it is something they do to black people. Okay? So if you are a sane white person and you look at that video and you listen to that and you judge, you will know exactly what you want. Okay? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Peace out.